Paralog 18, Nutty Family. Keaton sets out for the gate to a deep realm in order to meet with his daughter, Valoria. Upon reaching the forest along the way, however, his group is set upon.
Yep.
What?
This is perhaps the most intimidating map in all of Conquest. We start on the east side of a mountain range, and our enemies hold a series of fortifications on the west side. They're arrayed in an incredibly dense formation, so if you just dive right in, you're going to face a whole lot of attacks at once. And when you do that, you'll have to fight a diverse group of opponents. There are faceless with poison or stat stealing skills, adventurers with some powerful bows, malignites with silver axes and possibly trample, sorcerers who can hit hard with magic, dark knights manning a trio of fire orbs, and 3 strategists who can hit you with freeze, enfeeble, or even entrap. You can disable those last few threats temporarily with any of the 3 dragon veins on the east side of the map. These will silence every unit for 1 full turn. Actually, it's a little bit more than 1 turn. The silence effect will last through the player phase in which you activate it, then the following enemy phase, and then, for your units only, also the following player phase. If you're planning to do anything with magic in that span, you should do it before you hit the dragon veins. When all the enemy mages are silenced, it certainly becomes a lot easier to approach. One way you might do that is to use a bunch of flyers to cross the mountains, eliminate the melee enemies, and then flee back east as you bring in a good anti-mage unit to clean up. But one challenge with that approach is that after you cross the mountains, Keaton's daughter will show up on the west side of the range. You'll probably need to extract her too, and she does not fly. Because of that, this is the single place in Conquest where you can most benefit from having one of the truly elite combat builds, the kind of unit that can one-round every enemy and sustain itself without outside help. Something like Master Ninja Silas or Maid Camilla with Soul. If you're bringing something that powerful, you don't really have to engage with this map's mechanics at all. You can just parachute them across the mountains and go to work, walking south and slaying everything in your path. When you don't cheese it with one of those super units, this map surprisingly turns out to be one of the most interesting and dynamic stages in the game. I consider it an example of a very good route map. Forces we're deploying include Corrin and also Keaton, both of whom are mandatory. Flora will function mainly as an auxiliary combatant, inflicting debuffs and occasionally healing as she earns her supports with Corrin and Felicia. We have Leo, who can do well against mages when they're not all silenced. When he himself is silenced, he can at least deal chip damage with physical weapons. The same can be said of Felicia. Shigure can fly Midori around, and he can support others with useful rallies. Charlotte offers decent physical combat power, and importantly, she also has rally strength. Benny and Perry are going to see a lot of combat in the east-central part of the map, teaming up with each other at first in order to work on their support, then later splitting off to farm experience. Rounding out the squad are 2 more flyers. One is Laszlo, who needs to earn just a tiny bit more experience as a Falcon Knight because he didn't quite reach level 8 in Chapter 19. And the last of our teammates is Xander, whose formidable physical stats and ability to use rally defense should prove useful. And that's everyone. Let's get moving. Our first action is to have Laszlo carry Corn west 7 spaces and then south 2. He drops Corn to the south. The idea behind this move is to put them both in range of the nearest Malignite. Since Corn has much better defense than Laszlo does, the enemy will attack Laszlo, and Laszlo's only exposed on his west side. When Shigure flies over and switches to Midori, and Midori drops him southward, Shigure will be beyond the Malignite's reach, and yet will be in the perfect spot to tag team with Corn on turn 2. Corn will be able to fly around to the space northwest of Laszlo and attack from there. Shigure's position cannot be reached by any of the adventurers, though the northern one can and will attack Midori. Over in the east, our ground forces must approach the central choke point. We first have Charlotte rally for Perry, and then Perry rides southwest, dropping Benny even closer to the enemies. At this position, the 2 closest faceless can reach Perry, but the third one cannot. The goal is for Perry to kill those first 2 on the counterattack with Benny's support. If we have Xander fly in and rally for them both, then Perry will take 4 less damage from each faceless, and Benny will have 36 defense, rendering him functionally immune to all 3 faceless. That immunity is crucial. If that third faceless were to attack Benny first, or if it were to move near Perry ahead of time to provide dual strikes, then his 2 companions could deal enough damage to kill Perry. But because the third faceless sees a blue unit in range, even one that it's not allowed to attack because it can't deal damage, it's not going to make that kind of preemptive setup move. So by standing in range but not being targetable, Benny is negating enemy dual strikes without even having to pair up. Keaton drops Felicia a little bit closer to everyone else, particularly that easternmost strategist. Meanwhile, Leo rides over to hit the northern dragon vein, shutting off all the fire orbs and other magic around the map. Lastly, Flora just moves toward the rest of the group.
I can support you.
I'll protect you. Here I come! It's all right. Allow me!
Is that all your blood?
You'll be all right. This is my chance.
Level 8 in Falcon Knight is a big milestone for Laszlo because it unlocks Rally Speed, the last skill he wants from the Falcon Knight class. Unfortunately, this adventurer gets to fight Midori from a woods tile, which means Shigure's hit rate is pretty bad. A-rank weapon triangle disadvantage and the terrain together cost him 25 points of hit. Sadly, that situation is going to get worse before it gets better. Anyway, Shigure succeeded, and Midori has earned her first level up. It's a pretty great one, though she has missed out on luck, which is, a little bit unlucky, as it were. Just as we anticipated, Corn is able to use Shigure's support for an attack from the north. Before we commit to that, Midori pairs into Shigure first to give him a strength bonus. With that done, let's check our options. Shigure only does 3 damage with his most accurate weapon, so it seems Corn will have to hit for at least 15. That forces us to use the Iron Axe, and so we'll have to hope we don't get a crit. Although it's not really that big a disaster if Shigure doesn't get to make a dual strike.
So strong. No need to go solo. How'd you do that?
Lunging has moved Corn a bit further south after the battle. Now Shigure flies west just 1 space, and then he drops Midori to the left. There, the next adventurer can reach Midori, but still not Shigure. Unfortunately, he gets to attack from a mountain tile, and he has a silver bow instead of a steel bow, so he'll have effectively 15 more avoid, meaning Shigure's hit rate will be only 62. Thankfully, that's the last really dicey hit rate we'll have to contend with. This Dark Knight ostensibly could attack Midori, but he actually won't if he can use the Fire Orb instead. The Fire Orb can't hit Midori because she's right next to it and its minimum range is 2. Because Corn lunged southward, the Fire Orb's plus-shaped area of effect cannot cover both Corn and Shigure at the same time. Since Shiguri's resistance is much higher than Corrin's, if there are no other blue units in range, Corrin will be the target of choice. Laszlo flies southeast between Xander and Flora, getting himself out of that fire orb's range. He uses his new rally, plus his personal one, to raise Flora's speed to 24, enough to double a Faceless.
Shall we? Stand down!
For her part, Felicia can run over and kill the Entrap Strategist, the most dangerous of the three, using the Hunter's Knife. Tomebreaker means the Strategist has no chance of hitting Felicia back.
Let's get started.
A couple of enemy flyers can reach Felicia here. We can pull her out of danger by employing Shelter for its intended purpose.
I'll fight too.
Leo comes down, takes Felicia, and switches, then she drops him to the north. This maneuver gets her completely out of the range of the Malignites. We've made Felicia equip her Flame Shuriken so that the enemies who can reach her are guaranteed to have at least a nominal chance to hit. She's about to be the target of a Freeze Staff, which would accomplish that anyway, but if she were to dodge the freeze and she were still holding the Hunter's Knife, the more distant of the two sorcerers closest to her would not be able to attack. Since Perry has moved, Charlotte can take her spot, where she can kill the wounded Faceless using Xander's Dual Strike.
You have my aid. No escape!
Ooh, I'm impressed.
On turn 3, we're going to face some reinforcements out of these forts, so Benny moves a bit closer to be ready for them. Perry's still in danger from this wyvern, so Xander shelters her out of the way. Then Keaton can pull Perry and drop her to the east, with the result that everyone is separated for next turn, and also making a very juicy target for the central fire orb. Felicia does get frozen after all.
We've got trouble. Not paying attention?
Those are some nice stats for Leo. We'd prefer that Felicia dodge at least some of these attacks, though it's not absolutely crucial that she do so. Here we have to pray for Shiguri to pull through on a 62% displayed hit chance. We got it, obviously, since this commentary is done in post, but let's not worry about that. And now we should be basically home free in terms of hit rates for the rest of the mission. There are a couple of other minor risks ahead, but nothing too scary.
Daddy!
The interesting thing about Valoria's spawn point on this map is that it depends on where your team is positioned after someone has entered the trigger area. In our case, she's arriving in the northwest. I think that's both the typical experience and the easier one. However, if the majority of your units are on the southern half of the map when she spawns, she'll show up in the southwest instead. Let's go take a look at our newest recruit. Among the child characters, Valoria is renowned for her excellent raw stats. Her default bases are very good and her growths are awesome. But that's also true of her father, Keaton. He has more bulk and more strength than Valoria, whereas she has superior accuracy and just slightly better speed. And since he's already married, Keaton usually has access to the same class as Valoria does, and possibly more. Nevertheless, Valoria usually feels a lot more powerful than her father. In part, that can be explained by inheritance. But those bonus stats are rarely that big a factor, and since Valoria starts in the same class as her father, skill inheritance won't usually give her a huge leg up either. One concrete thing that makes Valoria a little bit better at combat than Keaton is that her personal skill actually does something on the tactical level. Goodie Basket is, well, good. 10 HP is a lot of health in this game, and a free 1 in 6 chance to recover that much every turn is appreciated. Still, Goatee Basket is not as consistent or as powerful as Better Odds, the recovery skill that Keaton already has and that Valoria is about to acquire. That's the one that restores a whopping 40% of the unit's maximum HP at the start of each odd-numbered turn. Goatee Basket functions as a nice reinforcement for Better Odds, but it's hardly necessary. Valoria is now, very briefly, a Volsegner. That's the only option she gets with her Offspring seal, so there's not a lot to say about her initial promotion. We've already discussed the level 5 skill, and there's nothing else to it besides more stats. Anyway, Valoria suffers from the same big problem as a combat unit that Keaton had. She doesn't have weapon ranks. Sure, she can remain a Wolfskin forever to keep her stone rank, but then she'll be locked to melee combat and she'll tend to contribute most as a pair-up bot. That's a fine thing to be, but it's hardly better than Keaton or Charlotte or Arthur. So why does Valoria feel stronger? Well, let's think about that last point. Keaton is a great pair-up supporter, which makes him a very desirable partner for the best female combat units in his generation. That also means he's going to be pretty reluctant to change out of his native class line, especially since he joins relatively late, so it's more of a burden to give him new classes. And as a pair-up bot who starts at level 15, Keaton doesn't really require any training. You can and should just promote him whenever you need the extra stat points on Wolfsegner and you have a spare Master Seal. So it seems to me that Valoria's true advantage is just that she gets to be a version of Keaton who, thanks to auto levels, receives all that combat experience that Keaton may have skipped. Thus, basically for free, she gets to combine the full potential of her father's great stats, possibly a good skill or two from her parents, and a couple of useful self-healing skills. And then she usually wants to become not a better version of her dad, but a better version of her mom, assuming mom has given her a good class to work with. The best weapons for Valoria to take up are bows and daggers, since those are the physical options that are innately pretty good and suffer least from low weapon ranks. A forged bronze bow is the best bow in the game, and bronze daggers already have 1 to 2 range built in. A few different mothers provide bow classes, but daggers are slightly harder to come by, since ninja is completely unavailable except through Corrin's talent. Charlotte may be Valoria's ideal parent because Charlotte provides maid access without ruining her daughter's stats in the way Felicia does. We haven't gone that route. Instead, the mother we've chosen is Mozu, who reinforces Valoria's beastly growths. Valoria sadly does not get the Archer class tree from Mozu, but she does receive the Merchant class, which is about as good, especially if you go out of your way to pass down Bowfair and Quick Draw simultaneously. We did have Keaton learn Quick Draw, but we didn't go for Bowfair on Mozu. Instead, Mozu has passed down Profiteer. Aptitude also looks like a strong choice, but be aware that when inherited, Aptitude won't apply to the automatic levels that kids receive before they join the team. It does work on Offspring Seal levels, so by not starting with Aptitude, Valoria has missed out on about half a point's worth of growth in each stat. Because of rounding, that actually works out to 1 HP, 1 Strength, 1 Magic, 1 Speed, and 1 Luck. Valoria will also miss the 10% bonus on her first level in Merchant, since she'll only learn Aptitude after leveling up. We've traded those stat points for the chance to earn some extra money now, without having to gain multiple levels in Merchant first. Starting with Profiteer also makes other class choices a bit more attractive, but we'll discuss that when the time comes. For now, let's proceed with the battle at hand. We put Valoria in this spot so that Midori would be able to exploit her Dual Strike. Combining with Midori's Beast Killer, that extra damage allows us to one-round the Dark Knight in spite of Wary Fighter.
Looks yummy. Stay back. I owe you one.
With the Knight out of his way, Shigure flies onto the now vacant Fire Orb tile. He switches Midori's equipped weapon, and then he attacks the Faceless.
Midori can do this. My turn.
This gets Shigure's strength and defense sealed, but he'll be fine with that. Over here we have some sorcerers to deal with. For that purpose, Charlotte equips her Dual Club, and Leo equips Fire.
Stay on your toes.
Flora steps south and kills the closest sorcerer using Charlotte's Dual Strike.
Look who's here! I'm gonna tear you in half. Thank you.
Felicia takes out the next one with help from Leo.
Good luck. We're not done yet.
Didn't expect that, did ya? Yes!
Corrin flies to the tile east of Laszlo. He's going to dump his iron axe in the convoy for a fire tome, which he can now use because he's not silenced. However, his weapon of choice in this instance is the hand axe. He lunges the left-hand faceless with that and with Laszlo's dual strike.
Come on, smile for me. How about a two-step?
Now Heartseeker is applied to the faceless on the fort, negating the avoid bonus there.
Don't do anything dumb.
Keaton attacks the faceless on that fort from the southeast using Benny's support.
This will be a challenge. Stand back!
Benny can finish the job with help from Keaton's dual strike.
Sure, why not? I call Alpha.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Benny, you got speed! With the fort cleared, Xander flies onto it.
No quarter.
He lunges the faceless above using not Corrin's dual strike, but Benny's. Corrin is so overleveled that he has very little to gain from extra combat.
I can help. My turn.
Xander's lunge brings that faceless down onto the fort, where Leo can attack him too, again using Benny's dual strike as he goes for the kill.
I think we can win. Here I come!
I'm impressed.
Can I have the wish?
Harry goes up next to Xander. She lends him the Bronze Lance +2 temporarily, and she kills the faceless that Corrin previously lunged using her javelin and Xander's dual strike.
Together. You hit my
Cool.
Since the northern fort is clear again, Charlotte can occupy it as she attacks the next faceless. She uses a hand axe in order to weaken it. We had to give her a defense tonic because without it, she would risk death here unless she had managed to dodge the fire orb.
Shall we? No escape!
To finish off that faceless, Laszlo flies over. He takes the Bronze Lance +2 from Xander in exchange for the Brass Naginata, and then he exploits Xander's support to complete the kill.
No quarter. You have my kill. Thanks.
Crossing my fingers. Midori special.
The faceless from the southern fort can't hurt us very much. Keaton and Leo have to tank just one attack each, and Benny is immune.
Ready for this? Need a hand?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Me too.
There is a little bit of variance in the movements of these two sorcerers. There should always be one immediately south of Felicia, but the other one could be either immediately west of Felicia or immediately south of Flora. We can handle either case.
No holding back.
First, we have Flora equip her Steel Shuriken so that she can deal damage in support of Corin, who kills the faceless that hit Leo.
Shall we?
Guess I did it right.
Don't underestimate me.
Once that's done, Flora takes the Flame Shuriken in exchange for her Steel one, since the Flame Shuriken gives a genuine speed bonus that ensures she can double the sorcerers. Flora uses that, along with Corin's support, to kill the sorcerer who's not directly south of Felicia. That is, Flora should aim west or south as appropriate, but not southwest.
I'll protect you. We're not done yet.
All cleaned up.
Doing things this way means the other sorcerer is always right here. As a result, Felicia can move to Flora's south side and still have a target available. She takes back the Flame Shuriken, leaving Flora equipped with only the Bronze Dagger, and she uses that shuriken to kill the remaining sorcerer.
I'll do my best. So stubborn. All taken care of.
To continue our fight against these other Faceless, Xander moves between Keaton and Laszlo. He lunges the Faceless below using Laszlo's Dual Strike.
We'll be just fine. Here we go.
We've trained Laszlo to D-rank in lances, just in time to never use them again. After Laszlo flies around to the far side of the southernmost Faceless, he uses his Friendship Seal to enter the next class that can give him a great rally, Berserker. I'm very fond of Laszlo's outfit in Falcon Knight. I think it looks very spiffy. I can't say the same for the Berserker getup.
Well,
Keaton goes south of Laszlo and uses his support to weaken that southernmost Faceless.
Let's go. What's this?
Perry rides down to Laszlo's left side. She takes back the Bronze Lance +2 that she previously lent out, and then she attacks the undamaged Faceless above.
We're not alone. Stay strong.
Charlotte quits her fort to move over by Xander. She kills the Faceless that Perry just weakened using Benny's Dual Strike.
have no fear. You die now!
Thank you so much.
Charlotte's move gives Leo the opportunity to occupy the fort himself for some free healing. He kills another Faceless using Benny's Dual Strike.
I can help.
I should thank you.
Finally, Benny uses Perry's Dual Strike to kill the last Faceless from the reinforcement group. He makes her equip the Bronze Lance for better accuracy.
Can I have a wish ball?
We're safe now.
Now we turn back to check in on the kids. Shigure flies 3 spaces north to the boundary of the map. He equips his Blessed Lance to restore any HP he may have lost, and then he rallies to boost Midori's speed. Valoria moves up too, and she takes a Heart Seal from Shigure. It's time for her to use it. Just a few minutes ago, I suggested that Merchant would be Valoria's best class to switch to. That's true, but for the sake of variety, and also for a more economical path to powerful skills that a hypothetical Merchant Valoria might want, and because Valoria already has Profiteer, we're going to choose Master of Arms instead. Master of Arms is the other villager promotion, so Valoria will still learn Aptitude after she levels up in the class for the first time, the same way she would in Merchant. The downside, of course, is that she's going to remain locked to melee combat for a while longer, at least until we achieve D rank in something. The weapon type we'll choose to focus on first is, of all things, swords. Axes are usually the best of the 3 melee weapon types, and lances are second, if only because there's more than one ranged physical lance in the game. But other characters in our team are going to hog all the unique axes, and at least one character in our final squad will be Lancelot, so Valoria is going to take the path of the swordsman. We'll try to have her swing her sword as many times as we can throughout the rest of this mission. Midori gets that going right away. She heads to the space below Valoria, she hands over the unforged bronze sword, and then she kills the faces below by tag teaming with Valoria.
I'm ready. Don't count Midori out.
A bunch of sorcerers have just spawned near the boss. Our aim is to have our northern squad deal with all of them, so we want them all to go north. Without getting too close and drawing the sorcerers away, we also want to penetrate into the southern part of the map. One of the key obstacles there is this enfeebled strategist. We want to find some way to eliminate her. To that end, we'll have Flora heal Corrin, and we'll have Felicia heal Leo. Since they both have Live to Serve, they get to heal themselves too.
All right!
Xander flies 1 space to the
Let's
left.
do this.
He gives his forged bronze axe to Benny in exchange for the unforged one, and then he rallies. He's specifically trying to boost Leo but not Corrin, because we'll want Leo to have more physical bulk than Corrin does. Leo pairs up with Corrin now.
Nuisance.
Harry rides over to shelter Felicia from the south. Next, Laszlo goes to the tile south of Perry. He takes Felicia, and then he does his own rallies, this time covering Corrin and Leo at the same time. Benny steps to the left to pull Felicia, and Felicia heals Laszlo. Now Charlotte goes to Felicia's right side. She pulls Benny and drops him to the south. Lastly, Keaton stands just southeast of Flora, placing himself in a useful position for our next turn. We've now prepared Corrin and Leo for battle. They're the ones who will eliminate the southern strategist. They could achieve that in a couple different ways, but one problem to keep in mind is that there's an adventurer backing the strategist up. Once the strategist dies, the adventurer will be able to step into that position. That means we probably don't want to have Corrin take the lead on this, yet we still want him to be ready to fly away later. There also are a couple of Malignites in the vicinity. If Leo's going to fight a strategist and an adventurer, and he's going to be unpaired and exposed to dual strikes, we don't want him to also have to tank a Malignite. We want others to absorb that damage instead. That's why we avoided giving rally defense to Corrin. If Leo and Corrin have about the same displayed defense, and Leo gets to benefit from supportive and the mountain terrain bonuses, then at least the southern Malignite, who can target them both, should go for Corrin. We have to work out exactly how we should kill the strategist. She has 19 res and is on a woods tile, so she effectively has 20. She also has 32 HP. Leo and Corrin will be separated so that Corrin may tank the Malignite and then carry Leo off the mountain on our next turn. And so in checking our calculations, we have to remember that the parry bonuses we see now will be lost. Without Leo in back, Corrin will lose 4 magic, so he'll have 29 displayed attack, but Leo's Malefic Aura will apply, raising that to 31. Against 20 res, his dual strike with fire can only deal 5 damage. To cover the other 27 HP, we would need Leo to hit for at least 14 times 2. That'll have to be without Corrin's 2-point parrot bonus, but it'll include both Malefic Aura and Supportive, resulting in effectively 32 attack on Leo using fire. "32 attack against 20 res is going to yield just 12 times 2, so we're short by 2 points. We can rectify that simply by having Leo equip Thunder instead of Fire. That's not ideal because we really don't want Leo to score extra kills with critical hits, but it's about the best we can do.
You'll be all right.
We have a very nice way to lure the other Malignite away from Leo. We'll just have Valoria act as bait. She goes 2 spaces west of Midori, in range of that Malignite, and Midori stands behind her with the bow equipped.
Guess I'll help. Now I'm in the mix.
Jigure flies to Midori's right side, and he rallies for Midori and Valoria both.
Midori can do this. I'll nip this in the bud.
Nice.
Stay on your toes. Concentrate. That went well.
Corrin does his part, and one of the Faceless comes.
Let's go. Yes, let me try. Failure is no option.
Leo levels up again, and he ends up earning another nice set of stat growths.
I'll do what no one else can. I believe in you. I can help too.
We're expecting the sorcerers to all go north toward Valoria, but there is a small chance that one of them decides to go toward Leo instead. If that were to happen, we'd reset. Leo pairs up with Corrin, and then Corrin flies over between Keaton and
Won't
Flora.
give up.
He transfers Leo to Keaton, and he himself pairs up with Flora. Benny joins Laszlo. He marches 5 spaces west, and he drops Benny to the south.
Come on, smile for me.
Keaton goes above Laszlo, then switches, and Leo transfers Keaton over. Keaton's parrot bonuses provide extra strength, skill, and speed, all of which are useful. Charlotte runs to Laszlo's right side. He rallies for Laszlo and also for Benny. Laszlo should now be fast and strong enough to one-round the Faceless, having 48 attack with strong riposte and enough speed to double them. As a result, they should go for Benny, and not him. Xander flies to the space north of Leo. He rallies too, but in his case, not for Benny. Felicia stands at Leo's right side so that she also provides a defensive buff to Laszlo and not Benny. Flora runs over to the central Dragon Vein, which Corrin activates. Perry rides over next to that spot. She pulls Flora and switches, then Flora drops her to the left. With that Dragon Vein, we've silenced all the enemies, so the only active threat to our 3 kids at present is the Malignite.
That's the prey.
The sorcerers make easy prey for Valoria.
Here to save the
Midori can dispose of the Malignite, and she can even make Valoria deal the killing blow.
I'll help. Nonsense! Amazing!
Midori levels up for the second time. She does get luck this time around, so at least on the last 2 turns when Profiteer can trigger, its activation chance will be that little bit higher.
Everything will be just fine.
Shigure gets to weaken the next sorcerer using his Javelin plus Valoria's support.
Let's go! Stay back!
Benny takes very little damage from these enemies, but due to their combination of Poison Strike and Savage Blow, they do enough to drop him all the way down to 1 HP.
I won't let you down. There we go.
Since the whole team is already silenced, and we want to keep the enemy mages shut down, there's no reason not to hit the final Dragon Vein immediately.
Have no fear.
Benny kills this Faceless in the woods to his south using Laszlo's support. This is a bit risky because of the bug that prevents Fierce Mian from applying to his partner's dual strikes when Benny attacks on player phase.
I'll help. How about a two-step? You were brave.
Benny gets to level 5, and so he learns Wary Fighter. We've seen that on enemies before. Unfortunately, it's one of the skills that's a lot more beneficial to them than to us, since we have ways to modify our stats at will. Benny's the only playable character who regularly sees any kind of upside from this, and it's a meager one. Even without major speed support, everyone else can almost always be fast enough not to get doubled, and they resent the loss of the ability to follow up themselves. I think Wary Fighter was a decent attempt at supporting the intended role of armored units, but it just doesn't help that much because enemy stats aren't high enough to make the trade-off worthwhile. Felicia goes south of Benny, and she weakens the enemy to Benny's left using the Steel Shuriken.
I think we can win. Stand back.
In our case, Benny is in fact strong enough that we could get this kill with Flora's Bronze Dagger and Benny's Bronze Axe dual strike. However, in a lot of cases, he needs more power. That's what the Steel Lance is for. Unfortunately, it is less accurate than the axe, but we're using it anyway for demonstration purposes.
Are you scared? Here I come.
I owe you. I'll try.
Charlotte makes another attack using Laszlo's dual strike.
We're not alone. Watch this.
Afterward, Perry rides west to Benny. She makes Benny equip his axe again, and then she kills that Faceless.
I'll support you. Stand back!
How was my job?
Benny has attained axe level D, which means he's able to use hand axes in cases where those are more appropriate than javelins. We need to box out this last faceless. Depending on where exactly it had moved earlier when it was supporting the enemy strategist, it could also have ended up one space to the east of its current position. We want the faceless to be exactly where it is, so that when Xander occupies the woods to the right, it can't get through. If it were already in those woods, Xander could simply fly to its west side and lunge, but that's not necessary now. We can just have Xander go to his intended destination and attack normally. Leo can use this moment to earn some extra combat experience both for himself and for Perry.
Let's share this one.
Let's go!
Next, Laszlo runs west by the fire orb. He switches and Keaton drops him to the left, where the faceless can reach him. We still got 4 more sorcerers to deal with over here, but they're completely helpless right now. Valoria kills the wounded sorcerer first, from the south.
Nice.
Her first level up is a good one. She's earned a lot of useful stats, including luck. On this, the very last turn where she could get Profiteer to activate, that chance will be 1 percentage point higher. Beastbane does nothing for units who aren't in beast classes, so Valoria has dropped it in favor of Aptitude, which will still manage to be worth a little over 1 point in every stat by the end of the game, on average.
And here's Midori.
Midori attacks the next sorcerer from the northwest, in this case using not Shigure's dual strike but rather Valoria's, which is lethal. Valoria's damage is boosted by odd shape because this is turn 7, but our Midori and Valoria are strong enough for that not to matter.
That's great, huh? So stubborn! I owe you one.
I have your back.
Shigure attacks the third sorcerer using his Brass Naginata and, again, Valoria's dual strike. He's not trying for a kill here.
Let's go! So annoyed right now!
Sure, why not? Phew.
Laszlo's first level in Berserker unlocks HP plus 5, which is a very good skill, but not one that's useful to him right now. It'll increase his maximum HP, sure, but he's not about to get back to full health anytime soon. Corrin has been left alone over here, but since he's a flying unit, it's trivial to get him back to the main group. The question now is, where do we go from here? The biggest surviving group of enemies is down in the southwest, so we'll want to make our way in that direction.
This will be a
Of course, before we do, we should eliminate the Dark Knight and the Strategist at the central fire orb. To accomplish half of that goal, Benny walks over to Keaton and joins up with him. Keaton goes north of Laszlo and switches. Benny passes Keaton over to Laszlo. And finally, he kills the Strategist using Laszlo's dual strike, which is made a bit more accurate by Keaton's paraflows.
Stay strong.
We're safe now.
At this point, facing another mage enemy, Felicia gets a chance to chip in with no danger to herself. She runs to Xander's west side, then hits the Dark Knight with one of her daggers. The weapon of choice for this is the Iron Dagger because that will cut the enemy's magic stat.
No quarter. No escape. I'll fight too.
Leo benefits from that debuff when he makes his own attack. To limit his damage output, but also to simultaneously earn some extra support, he uses his Kodachi and parries Dual Strike rather than Xander's.
Let's get started. Nice!
Leo dodging that counterattack turns out to be somewhat helpful later. Xander flies over to the north side of the fire orb. There, he rallies. Importantly, that boosts the defense stat of Felicia, who is currently standing in range of an adventurer. Laszlo passes Keaton over to Xander, and then he finishes off the Dark Knight using Xander's support.
Together.
Well, that's that.
Perry spends her turn separating Keaton from Xander.
We'll be
Charlotte doesn't have much to do, so she just waits at Xander's side. Now we finally come back to Corrin. He joins up with Flora.
I won't fail you.
Flora runs over to Felicia and gives her the bronze dagger, taking back the steel shuriken. She makes her sister equip the bronze dagger, then she switches, and Corrin drops Flora to the right. This way, Corrin will be supporting Felicia, and she'll benefit from his supportive skill. As we've already mentioned, Felicia is in range of an adventurer. She's also in range of the southern fire orb, and that might be a significant threat if it weren't for Laszlo and friends, whose comparatively awful resistance will draw that fire away from her. Midori runs around these sorcerers, then shoots the wounded one in the back.
This ends here.
Shigure uses Valuria's dual strike again.
Oh, something shiny. Nonsense!
Now Valuria goes for the kill. She makes Shigure equip the Blessed Lance so that he'll heal back up automatically.
Let's do this.
Daddy, are you watching?
Let's go. Need a hand?
It's nice to see Felicia gain some defense. That's been a long time coming. There's one more adventurer down here. We have to account for him. Corrin starts to set up against him by lunging the closer adventurer.
I'm with you.
That will put him right outside the other adventurer's range. In this particular case, since the nearest adventurer ended up west of Felicia, Corrin attacks from the south. This time it's Flora who's going to do the fighting on enemy
I'll
phase.
do my best.
She heads west of Corrin, in range of both adventurers.
No holding back.
She trades to make Corrin equip fire again, and then she goes for the kill.
I'm here to help.
I'm sorry.
A mere 3 missions into her career, Flora has already capped her dagger rank. If only she could cap staff rank so easily. Felicia trades with Flora to give back the bronze dagger. She also heals Flora, and thereby heals herself a little. That's great, but the problem with this arrangement is that Flora will prefer Felicia's support to Corrin's. To prevent Flora from using Felicia's dual strike, we need to physically move Felicia, and that means sheltering her. Harry handles that task.
Ready to go.
We've now accomplished our basic setup for next turn, but there are still various support tasks to do. For example, just like last turn, we'd like to have some of our less resistant units bait the fire orb away from Flora. Also, we need to move some weapons around. Midori runs over to Benny and gives him the Beast Killer, which he'll want to use shortly. That's Midori's last real task on this mission. She's not going to see any more combat herself, but she'll hang around in case her support is needed. Leo makes his way closer to the boss, whom he is very well equipped to fight. While he's doing that, he can separate Felicia from Perry. Leo drops Felicia to the right so that she's closer to the bulk of the army. There, she can be covered by Shigure's healing rally. Before Shigure uses said rally, he passes the Blessed Lance to Perry, giving her even more healing. Restoring 23 hit points at the price of only one action? That's good work.
I'll protect you.
Benny only needs his Beast Killer, so he gives his superior bronze axe over to Xander, then pairs up with him.
You have my aid.
Xander flies over to the vicinity of Flora, and then he rallies.
Let me help you.
Charlotte seizes the forged bronze axe for herself, and she also takes the unforged hand axe in case she needs to adjust her damage output a little.
Come on.
Laszlo wants to get closer to the front lines, but he doesn't want to cluster too tightly, so his destination on this turn is either southwest of the fire orb or 2 spaces south of it, whichever space Xander isn't on. Valoria could go fight the boss pair on her own, but we're not ready for that yet, since we'd like her to be using and giving dual strikes during that battle. So she just waits right outside the boss's range.
You're hopeless without me. We've got this. We're not done yet.
We can finally clear the southern artillery emplacement with an airstrike. Xander and Benny, let's go.
Shall we?
Good. Oh.
Benny's now cutting the avoid of the last Faceless. Horan's Heartseeker does that job even better on the Adventurer.
I think I might fail.
Charlotte weakens the Faceless using Flora's dual strike.
It's all right. Maybe I can. I'll watch out for you.
Changing Charlotte's weapon to the forged bronze axe, Flora now kills the Adventurer using Charlotte's dual strike.
We can win this, right? Stay right there. Impressive.
I will protect you.
Laszlo can clear the last Faceless by also using Charlotte's dual strike. He appears to be 1 point of damage short, but he can simply exchange axes with her. That cuts her damage by 1, but it increases his damage by 2.
I'll try my best. Take this!
Nice moves.
What should
We've
we
exhausted
do?
about half the team. The other half can deal with the boss, but doing that optimally and safely will take a bit of calculation. We of course want to kill the boss and win this mission on this turn, but we still have our special objective to consider. We want Valoria to swing her sword as many times as possible. To that end, Keaton goes to Valoria's left side and he attacks the Dark Knight on the fort. Due to Wary Fighter, he's never going to come close to killing with this attack. Valoria's supporting attack will get blocked, but that still counts for weapon experience.
Let's go! Stay back!
This ends here.
Shigure follows suit, attacking from the northeast this time.
I'll take out the garbage. Nonsense!
Now with the enemy's guard gauge almost filled, Valoria moves in for the kill. She attacks from the east so that she's supported by Shigure but not Keaton. As Keaton's child, Valoria already has SC support with her father pending, so it's no good earning more support points between them right now. The sorcerer boss is all alone. He does have both Vengeance and Vantage, which could be a very scary combination, but his only tome is Nosferatu. Apparently he came straight from Awakening and didn't read Nosferatu's description here in Fates.
I'll help you.
Just like when we fought the Dark Knight in the center of the map a couple of turns ago, Felicia will strike first, using one of her daggers to debuff the boss. But the next step after that will be to attack with parry. We want to make Parry's Javelin and Valoria's Dual Strike do as much damage together as possible without actually killing the boss. Then we'll give the kill to Leo, who doesn't deal a ton of damage on his own since the boss has pretty good resistance. He also apparently takes lethal damage from Nosferatu right now, which is why it'll be important for Felicia to reduce the enemy's magic stat. She can do that by attacking with either her Iron Dagger or her Flame Shuriken.
Okay, let's go.
The advantage of the Iron Dagger is that unlike the Flame Shuriken, it completely prevents the enemy from hitting her on the counterattack. That said, the Flame Shuriken will deal more damage and will inflict a stronger debuff. And Felicia won't get killed if she fails to dodge, so the Flame Shuriken is an option that's worth considering, as long as we can properly handle both outcomes. The one where she doesn't get hit, so the boss is weaker than he would be when debuffing the Iron Dagger, and also the one where she does get hit, so the boss unexpectedly keeps 7 more HP. To inform that decision, let's look ahead. Right now, before we apply any debuffs or adjust any weapons, Parry can hit the boss for 21 damage while using Valoria's support. If Felicia uses the Flame Shuriken and dodges the counterattack, the boss will have 30 HP left, and he will lose 4 points in magic, defense, and resistance. Then Parry's attack will deal 6 extra damage, 4 more from Parry herself, and 2 more from Valoria. The boss will survive with 3 HP, and then he may heal back 7 points, 18 minus 4, all divided by 2. So he could finish with 3 hit points or with 10. That's good. We do have an option to improve our damage a little by boosting Valoria's strength. Right now she has 32 displayed attack, and Quick Draw will take effect, but Odd Shaped will not. So she has effectively 36 attack against 23. 21 displayed defense on the boss, plus 2 from the fort. That's why her dual strikes are worth 6 damage. That difference between attack and defense is odd, so Midori's 3-point pair-up bonus would increase Valoria's dual strike damage by 2. Instead of 6 damage, she'd be dealing 8. Thus, if Midori pairs up with Valoria after Felicia's first strike, we can get the boss down to 1 HP or 8. It would not be appropriate for Midori to pair up with Valoria first, at least not when Felicia is going to use the Flame Shuriken, since we then probably kill the boss outright with Parry's attack. 12 plus 29 is too much damage. What we haven't considered is that when Felicia uses the Flame Shuriken, there's a small chance that the boss hits her back. So if we go with the plan where Midori pairs with Valoria after Felicia's attack, the boss may yet survive with as much as 15 HP. And then when Leo goes for the kill, Vantage may help him recover even more HP first. Fortunately, if Leo uses his Lightning Tome, which benefits hugely from resistance debuffs, he will be capable of punching through anyway.
That's great, huh? You disgust me!
Felicia did not get hit.
Can I have the wish
That makes this easy.
Mighty Midori! Hey, it's me! Let's go! Stay back!
I can support you.
If the sorcerer had managed to land both counterattacks, he would now have a chance to heal back to 19 HP after using Vantage to preempt Leo's attack. Lightning and Felicia's dual strike together hit for 22, so we had that covered. In the event, it has turned out that lightning is not necessary. Any of Leo's tomes or even his Kodachi could do the job now. Fire might be best here, since that could give Felicia a chance to dual strike. However, the most probable outcome of this whole sequence does not allow Felicia that opportunity, so we'll avoid giving her that extra experience for consistency's sake. Any tome other than Fire will give Leo a clean solo kill.
It'll be fine.
The boss drops the Beaststone Plus, which unfortunately we will never use because we don't have any Wolfskins in the army anymore. It can't be sold either, so it's just going to rot in the convoy forever. That is the end of the mission. Faced with a giant horde of enemies, we managed to pick them apart in what I think is a very satisfying way. I genuinely had a lot of fun coming up with this strategy and executing it, so I hope you enjoyed it too.
Daddy?
Hmm?
No.
Valoria?
Huh?
Ah!
Hey.
Considering the kinds of gifts Keaton tends to find, an acorn is really quite nice.
Oh, wow.
Case in point.
Sure, why not?
Now that we've welcomed Valoria to the pack and finished our trek through the Hoshidan countryside, it's time to open the way to their heartlands. To do that, we must first conquer the fabled Endless Stairway. I'll see you there.